welcome to the final of the Dalek Civil War trilogy for Did You Know Doctor Who, what you may not know about Doctor Who. This time we're going to have a look at their final appearance in the classic era, unless you count the TV movie, but they don't really appear. Remembrance of the Daleks. I hope you enjoy. This is the last Dalek story in the classic era, as well as Davros's last classic appearance. Originally, the Renegade Daleks were to be blue and silver, while the Imperial Daleks were going to be red and black. This change was undone as the production wanted continuity with previous stories, therefore they were reverted to grey and white. The Daleks that feature in the story have a rebuilt design, appearing more upright, thicker, and skirt panels were wider around the back. Only the Special Weapons Dalek has ever reappeared in the Imperial camp. This is the only live-action appearance of the big-headed Emperor, which appears in several spin-offs. However, technically this doesn't really count as the Emperor is just Davros in disguise. This story being set in 1963 meant there were several references to an earthly child, such as Coal Hill School, the junkyard at 76 Totters Lane, as well as the fact that the story breaks the fourth wall by having Doctor Who being announced on the TV. During filming with explosives, the police, fire and ambulance services got involved, believing it to be an IRA terrorist attack, and drove over to filming, and through the smoke were surprised to see Daleks passing by. If you were to listen closely, the Imperial Daleks have a higher pitched voice to differentiate them from the Renegade Daleks. The working title for the story was Nemesis of the Doctor. This is the first ever time on screen that a Dalek flies, although in the previous Dalek story, Davros did fly himself. This is also the first time that the Dalek's ray gun causes the skeleton effect. And this is also the first story to feature the interior of a Dalek. The original script called for the Doctor to destroy the Imperial Dalek that ambushes him and Ace in the school with the anti-tank rocket, and to attack the Supreme Dalek with a finger of Omega. These instances were altered after Sylvester McCoy cited the Doctor's dislike of weapons. Originally, the Special Weapons Dalek was to work for the Renegade Daleks and had a tracking guided laser instead of a large cannon. The famous scene of Ace beating a Dalek with a baseball bat was Sophie Aldred's favourite scene she ever filmed. There was an intended idea of including the Thal and the Ogrons into the mix, however the idea was rejected over fears of overcomplicating the story. The Time Lord artifact was originally the hand of Rassilon, not the hand of Omega. The Imperial Daleks were originally going to use floating assault platforms. This idea would later appear in the Big Finish audiobooks and comics. There was some production infighting over Davros being in the story, as some, like Terry Nation, wanted Davros to have a main role, while others felt Davros overshadowed the Daleks and decided to minimise Davros' appearance. The explosions from the set managed to damage car windscreens and set off alarms. The usual coasters underneath the Dalek props skirting were replaced by large balls of a type used on a garden barrow. This allowed them to move over coarse surfaces outside studio sets. When the Doctor gives Ace her baseball bat, script pages are visible sticking out of the left pocket on his jacket. According to Sylvester McCoy on the audio commentary, he always carried scenes to do in his left-hand pocket and scenes done in the right. The head of drama in the BBC felt that Ace should have torn down the no coloured sign, while Andrew Morgan wanted the scene cut entirely. Sylvester McCoy's favourite scene is when the Doctor and Ace are in the cafe and Ace spots the no coloured sign. Ratcliffe was originally called Gummer, however there was a cabinet minister in Margaret Thatcher's government with the same name, so it was changed. It also was considered too similar to Gilmore. Sylvester McCoy wanted to perform his own stunt, where the Doctor slides down the wire with his umbrella, however due to health and safety concerns he was not allowed. Mark McGann was originally going to play Mike Smith. Interestingly, his brother Paul would go on to play the 8th Doctor. While filming at the cemetery, there was a crowd of fans eagerly watching the filming. 3 Renegade Daleks were reused 1960s Dalek props. For the levitating Dalek, a scaffolding was built over the stairs, and the Dalek prop was placed in a tray that was hoisted up by a rail-mounted trolley. The junkyard gate was a part of ITV's storage facility, and the pyrotechnics not only destroyed it for the effect of the Special Weapons Dalek, blowing it up, but also smashed the windows in the nearby building. This is the only time Daleks have disc-shaped lights. There was originally going to be 2 variations of the Special Weapons Dalek. The Special Weapons Dalek was also meant to have been featured in the cancelled Dark Dimensions for the 30th anniversary. And finally, on set, the special weapons Dalek was also called the Rambo Dalek. Russell T Davies considers the destruction of Skaro to be one of the first actions that started the Time War. Speaking of Russell T Davies, his program, It's a Sin, has a main character that appears in a fictional Dalek story, and it was in fact based on Dersey McLinden, who played Mike Smith. McLinden died of AIDS and was a friend of Russell T Davies. Whilst not relating completely to Remembrance of the Daleks, it was revealed that the Imperial Daleks were responsible for executing the Master in the movie. If you are ever curious as to who won the Dalek Civil War, it is disputed, as many sources either claim that the Imperials were destroyed, the Renegades were destroyed, or both were destroyed. However, given the fact that the Imperial Daleks were around by the time the Master was on trial and executed, it seems likely that the Imperial Daleks won. Not only that, but Davros also survived and created a new race of Daleks. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Remembrance of the Daleks is not only one of the greatest stories ever made, it is in fact my personal favourite Doctor Who story ever. I absolutely love Remembrance of the Daleks. Everything about this story is just absolutely fantastic. Even the more goofier moments are brilliant, such as Ace beating up that Dalek with a baseball bat. I absolutely love seeing it. The Imperial Daleks look awesome. I think they're some of my favourite Dalek designs, personally speaking, and I think the whole Civil War aspect is done so perfectly in this story. Davros being a surprise reappearance is fantastic, and I really do like the Emperor look, even though obviously it is technically just Davros. The Imperial Daleks are also pretty amazing. They have this contraption which is controlled by a little girl of all people, and that honestly is such a wild and crazy idea. I just love it. Sylvester McCoy is at his best. He just delivers some great lines, and of course when he's arguing Davros, it's one of my favourite moments when he says unlimited rice pudding to him. It's just fantastic. Everything about this story is absolutely fantastic, and I do find it interesting some of the facts that I found out while doing this video. For example, the whole Daleks were meant to be blue and red was quite an interesting concept. Mind you, it probably doesn't make sense continuity wise, but it's an interesting concept nonetheless. And given the fact that we would later see more red Daleks and more blue Daleks here and there, it's an interesting concept that could potentially be revisited, but you know, at the same time, multicoloured Daleks on screen probably doesn't look that good, all things considered. But nonetheless, I absolutely love this story, and I'm sure many people who have seen it love it too. It's the greatest 7th Doctor story. It's one of the greatest Doctor Who stories ever, and it is, in my opinion, the greatest Doctor Who story ever. Nothing has ever topped Remembrance of the Daleks for me personally. I absolutely love this story, and I recommend anyone who gets the chance to buy it or watch it to watch it. It is phenomenal. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Did You Know Doctor Who, and I'll see you next time.